You guys already know how I'm going to start this video out. It's a gorgeous day. Hope you guys are doing good. A gorgeous day means we got to do another weird video. So these are my top 3 most obscure and weirdest vehicles that I own. I like to think I have a lot of weird stuff, but this is definitely the top 3 most obscure ones. I want to take you guys on a little adventure with them, and then we'll drive them, kind of explain each one. If you guys want to learn a little more about these, I'm sure there's more videos on YouTube, but we're going to start here right down at the end with this red one. What is this thing, except for that it looks like it's out of Whoville from the Grinch. This is a 1980 HMV Freeway, and HMV stands for high mileage vehicle. It was made from 1979 to 1982. You could title them back then as a motorcycle, but nowadays we have autocycles. And this one's titled as an autocycle, so it's got 3 wheels on it. You could get a 12 horsepower or a 16 horsepower. Some of them had a sunroof. This one doesn't. Let me tell you, you were really lucky if you had a sunroof in this thing. Came in red, yellow, light blue, white. They were made in Minnesota, and they were made for the gas crisis. When gas was super expensive, they wanted to find out how we could get better gas mileage. This was their idea. A diesel motor was offered, but nobody ordered it. You had a standard 3-gallon or an optional 10-gallon. My tank, when I first found it, was rotten, and we decided to make our own. So I'm not sure what size it is, but I want to say it's probably like a 6 or a 7-gallon, if I had to guess. Maybe 5, somewhere in there. Check it out. Here's the logo there. They got like a flying bird on there. Freeway by HMV Incorporated. It's a CVT to a chain. Let me show you over here. There's our 12 horsepower Tecumseh motor in there. Literally sounds like a lawnmower. But you got a Comet Duster clutch going back. Goes to a chain drive. So very unique, very different, if you were to ask me. There was an electronically powered reverse drive that was offered as an option. Let's say you went to go buy this thing and you wanted the reverse, because you have to push it backwards. There's no reverse. If you checkmark that, that's too bad, because none of them were made available. You basically just had to live with pushing it backwards. There was roughly only 700 of them made before HMV closed factory. And I'll give you guys a little peek here of the inside. Opens like a normal car. It's fiberglass. There was an optional 2-seat where the second person would sit in here, right behind you. So you got your first seat and your second. Other than that, it's very basic. You have an oil heater, so the oil from the motor runs through there and comes around, and that's your heater. And then you got your dash. You have your headlights, windshield wiper, and that's your heater, the oil pump. The pedals are just like a go-kart. The best way to probably put this is definitely it's just a street legal go-kart. Mine still has the 1983 sticker on it from when the last person who registered it. When I found mine, it was sitting in a garage since 1995. So it had been off the road for quite some time. Actually, this model, 5,000 miles on it. We'll go to the trunk here. Twist this guy. And it opens up. And there's your trunk space. You want to throw some groceries in there? The side windows kind of open to let air through there. You can see the latch there. Opens up and it lets air through, and then the front windows I have taken out, but you can put the front windows back in it. They all failed in their own unique way, but this one's pretty unique because it did not take off. It wasn't there for the gas crisis, and it didn't do so well. Here is the owner's manual for the HMV, high mileage vehicles, a new technology. I just want to show you, doesn't that look like fun? Imagine showing up to work in that. But here is where they offered, kind of shows you how they're built. Feel free to pause this stuff if you want to check it out a little better. I'm just kind of zooming through it. Yeah, here's the option for the 2-person. I just wanted to show you guys that. So the second person would kind of sit right behind you, which I don't know if I would do that, considering yeah, not a lot of room, but you can still flip up the seat if you wanted to get there. So that's HMV Freeway. So I guess now the real question is, how does it drive? So fair warning, this battery is very weak and getting ready to die, but and moving along here, we're gonna go to the Subaru 360 Sambar microvan. I just call it short, Subaru 360. They did make 3 different types, which I'll get into here in a second. This is the Sambar, the Subaru Sambar. So the Subaru 360 was made from 1958 to 1971, and that included a sedan, the van here. They had a truck. So it was pretty much a van, except it wasn't enclosed. You had the cab there, I'll include a picture, and it kind of comes down and you got a little trunk and then a little step up for the motor. The van launched in 1961. It weighs 1,100 pounds. It's got a 4-speed manual in it. And yeah, you probably guessed it, a 360cc air-cooled 25 horsepower neck braking speed motor in the back. This one's a 1970 model, and it's before they did the facelift. In 71, they did a facelift to the van. So this was before that. A guy named Malcolm Bricklin actually was in Japan, and he was finding a car to import back while he was on a trip. and he came across the Subaru 360, and he saw the sedan, the van, and the truck. He saw them all, and he thought this would be a great idea to bring back for the family of 4, American family. This is what you got right here. So we're gonna take a peek around it. It's a very unique car for sure. So it has, I want to point out first, little mini cab lights. That's stock, that's how it is. The van only came in white, and I custom painted mine. This was my first paint job ever when I was 20 years old. So it's far from perfect. It has, let me emphasize this, fun opening doors. I can't say the real word. So check that out. They open super cool. Greets you in, very nice. You got lap belts, your 4-speed manual transmission. I added a tack to it. It's not permanent, it can all come out. And I added a temp gauge to it. You have a fuel gauge, a charge light if the alternator is not charging, or generator would be called on this. Your oil light if your oil is starting to get low, and of course your mile per hour and the mileage on there. So, and your little flashers there. Here is for your headlights. Once down is your running lights. There you go. Can you see that? And then all the way down is the headlights, which are incredibly dim here today. You obviously have your windshield wiper. And then if we come down here, I added a bigger horn because the one in here wasn't loud enough. This is my choke. Obviously you have your hazards here. You pull that out, it's gonna start clicking at us. And this is the heater. So you pull this back and there's a box underneath the Subaru and it closes a flap. And when we go to the engine, I'll show you, but there's a shroud that goes around the engine, and that forces the air all the way back. From the back there, rear mounted motor, it's gonna come all the way to the front, and it comes out that hole. So that's it, that's all you got. Some say it's up here. I've only felt it come out of there. So yeah, that's the defrost, and that's gonna go blow and keep the fog down for you. A parking brake on the floor, and then obviously just your gas, your brake, and your clutch. One of the cool things about the Subaru 360 is, just like a lot of the old cars, you get a lever right here, and you push this forward, and it opens up a vent for the front, and that's how you get your AC. So it kind of looks like it's like smiling, or like a mustache on there. And then of course you have the windows. They can fold out and twist and turn. This one's a little stuck. There we go. So then of course you have those, and that's how you get your air through the Subaru 360. We're gonna move to the back. We're gonna get the kids in the back. Come on kids, let's go to the beach. You got your cigarette trays here. You wanna have a smoke? There you go. That's fancy. Bench seat in the back. It is small. You can get roughly 2 people on it. There's no safety belts, no lap belts included here. So who's ever in the back, you better be hanging on. So you can put this down, and then you can go one more, and you can fold it up, and you can get a little more space in there. Check that out. That is just nice. We're gonna come to the back, and you twist it this way or this way to unlock the top. And then you twist it the other way, and that's gonna drop it down there. You wanna go for a picnic? Check that out. You can go to the lake, have some fun. Pretty nifty. This is just, you know, the Japanese technology here. Fold away, store, you know, get the most room. There's a little dome light back here. There you go. None on that side. And then your engine lid's down here. So you pull this off and you get to see your engine. It's got 10-inch tires on it. And even right here, for the passenger, little clips here, little handle. And you can slide that open and give your passengers some air in the back. All right, going here, twist that, drop it down. Oh my gosh, 25 horsepower, gonna throw your neck back. Check that out. That is some speed. So generator, you got your oil tank. It even has like the oil tank grab bin here. Those are usually missing. Just to show you original Japanese stuff. I haven't touched the points or anything underneath this distributor. Not a thing. It's got the original coil. All of it is still working good. I did add some wires there because I have an electronic fuel pump rather than the mechanical. The mechanical's just failed like crazy on this thing. So it does have a mechanical pump to it now. And then here's that shroud I was telling you guys about. And you probably can't see it from the back, but there's a tube that grabs it from the back. So as the fan brings it in, here's our air vent, or the mailbox slot as some would call it. Brings in the cold air, goes down the tube to our fan back here, and then it comes up and it wraps around the motor, and then it spits it out right here, out these vents. So that's how it gets its cooling. And when you open the heater, there's a flap underneath the vehicle. So at all times, basically, as the air is circulating the heads here, it's going down to that box, but that flap is either open or shut. We're on the passenger side, and forgive me, because my box has disintegrated a long time ago, but I just wanted to show you where it would have been. So there it is right there. So that intake you see there on the left, that comes in from the motor. There's a flap in there, it's open and closed. If you didn't want the air, it would just dump out right there. If you wanted the hot air, it would close that vent and it would work its way to the front. So that's how that heater core worked. Just like the HMV, I wanted to show everybody the brochure that I got with this. So check that out. Remember our picnic talk? You want to go for a picnic? He's playing his guitar there and the girls are enjoying the views and the music. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna open this up. Again, feel free to pause it. Look at that, 25 horsepower, just ripping. So that's gonna be the truck. That's the van. Flop it here. There you go, that's what the van originally looked like. Red seats in there. That's a lot of Coca-Cola. All the unique features with the van. Whew. Man, that is crazy. So the earlier ones had OT, and mine has 4. So the earlier vans had that OT. This was the last year before the facelift, like I was saying, so 1970. So there you go, there's the truck. The truck was super unique. Could fold down the sides there with the flatbed version. I don't think we ever got this one. We only got this one that was brought to the US. So that little thing would fold down like a ramp. And then of course you got the 360 van, and it kind of just shows you the different specifications over here. And then on the back, it gives you the whole list, which I'll just kind of show. Feel free to pause it. So Fuji Heavy Industries Ltd, Subaru of America. Well, you know what I'm gonna say. We gotta take it for a drive. you've done it. You waited to the end to see the very last one. What in the world is this thing? This is called a Pulse by OMCC. Owasso Motor Car Company is the full name. This was made in the 1980s. They first started out being called a Litestar, and they actually ended up getting sued for the name, and they had to change it to the Pulse. It was made from 1982 to 1990. The first engine they offered in this thing was a complete flop. It was a Yamaha 400cc bike motor, and it was air cooled. And with how big this thing is, they had some issues. They were toasting clutches, they were seizing up, underpowered. They did absolutely miserable, the 400cc's, and almost all of them came in it. Well, Pulse, towards the end of production, came up with a Goldwing motor. You could get an 1100cc or a 1200. Only a handful of these were sold. And Pulse again got in trouble by putting these motors in the Pulse and advertising them as new vehicles when they were actually used motorcycle engines. So big no-no there. So unsure of the miles that were on those, but the people that ordered them towards the end with the 1100 or 1200, they were getting used motors. Ouch. So I read there was a big lawsuit somewhere, and I believe he lost the lawsuit. But anyhow, the Goldwing had a liquid-cooled motor in it, and it still had overheating issues. You see that vent right there? They actually made little scoops on there to try to force air into, and it still didn't work. They just overheat. They're just, with the motor being in the rear and it being so aerodynamic, there's no way to really get any air to that back. This is Pulse number 241, and they only made about 366 of these. That's it. And when I found my Pulse, it was on top of a building in Texas, on an insurance building. And we had to hire a guy with a crane to take it down and bring it up from Texas. Well, nonetheless, this thing was toast. It was gone. Inside was trashed. Outside, the fiberglass was beyond cracked. Wheels all gone. Brakes seized. Motor was out of it. There was no motor included with this. I was starting from scratch. It was a long project. It was super long. And I want to show you just some of the few things I've done to it. And then we're gonna end the video by taking it for a spin. I'm gonna open up this vent. And the number one priority we were after was cooling. So what we did is we have mini radiators where those air vents come in with fans. I converted my Goldwing to a single carb. Normally the Goldwing has 4 carburetors, and they are very, very difficult to tune and work on, especially in this small of a location. So I have a single carb on there with a custom intake on it. In the back of the Pulse, we have another radiator over the rear tire. We have our other one here. There you go, custom shroud made around it to secure the fan. The one on the other side, and the one that sits above the tire back there. So there's 3 that run this thing. We have a complete custom wiring kit to it. And this being almost like a street legal jet is what I usually tell everybody. It somewhat is, because I believe this glass in the front, the windshield, was actually off a fighter jet, or they made them for fighter jets. Maybe somebody can confirm that for me. There's the brand name to it right there. So just like a real fighter jet, this guy slides back on these rails. You get a pilot and a co-pilot. This folds down, a little easier to get in there. There's behind. I have some brochures in here I'll pull out here and show you guys in a second. And then the coolest part to this whole thing is our custom dash I did. So the dash, normally all they did was put the Yamaha 400cc cluster in there, and it looked just awful. I'm sorry, it just did not look very good. What I did is I had Dakota Digital make me up a custom dash there that's completely made through Dakota Digital. We have our lights over here. So these are the fog lights. These are your high and your low beams. These are the driving running lights, which are these guys right there. Looks like I nailed a bug once upon a time. And then you got your turn signals here, the horn here, and underneath that is the strobe lights. So you just hit that button and there's a strobe light in the front on the 2 tires on the outriggers. These are called outriggers. And then one in the back, and they all flash differently. So the front and the back go together, they'll flash, and then they'll turn off, and then the 2 sides will flash, and they keep rotating like that. And then what we did here is we have a switch here for the radiator fans. So those will automatically turn on our fans back here. Down below we have our main switch panel. So you flick this one up, that's your main power for ignition. You flip this guy up, it's gonna run the instrument cluster up top, it's gonna turn it on. The accessory 2 is gonna run the air pump down here. Number 3 is going to be the strobe light kill switch. And then number 4 is going to be for the windshield wiper, which I don't have on it. I think it looks a lot better without it, so I just kept it off. I'm never gonna drive it in the rain. Down below, there is our switch panel for our air ride suspension. In the front, underneath that front wheel, we have an air compressor that's hidden up in there. Air ride in the front, air ride in the back. So you can control that all from here. This turns on the pump. And then this lets out the air in the front and in the back. This switch is blank for a future option if we ever wanted to add one more. We have up here that cooling fan is going to run the fan that sits over that tire. The fan down there, the cooling fan here, is going to run the cabin fan. So it's going to push air into there that's hidden underneath the front tire. The up and down switch is for the headlight in the front. That is ran off a Fiero headlight. Down below we have our flashers, and then the very last switch is our main power. So you got to turn that thing on and it's going to let you turn on everything. So that's the main kill switch. Without that, nothing will run on here. Okay, so unlike the other 2 cars that are just pretty much turn the key and pull the choke, this one's a little different. This is how I start this one. So we got our main kill switch. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna turn that on. This is our ignition. I'm gonna push up on it, the light's gonna light, and you're gonna hear a click in the back. Try to listen really hard. I'm not sure if you can hear that or not, but that means the choke is engaged, ready to go. Our second one here, I'm gonna flick up, and this is gonna run our instrument cluster. So I'm gonna click this here, and there you go, that comes to life. Ready to go. There's our fuel, there's our oil, volts, all that fun stuff. Now what I like to do on a hot day like today, it's 70 something degrees, is I like to just get the fans going right away. So it's gonna run our 2 radiator fans, and this one runs the one over the tire. What I like to do then is just push on the gas one time. And we're gonna click this big start button. Here we go. And now I let it warm up for a second and it's ready to go. Little disclaimer, if you get motion sickness, you might want to skip past this one. This is one of the worst riding vehicles I own. It teeters left and right. Since it's an autocycle, it only can be on 3 wheels. So the front, the rear, and the left or the right. It can't be on all 4. So this machine actually rocks. It goes back and forth like this. So you're gonna make a turn, it's gonna rock. One of the worst riding vehicles I have. Gives me motion sickness. There we go. Get it on picture. That's gonna do it, guys. That is the top 3 easily the weirdest, most obscure things that I own in my car collection. I'm gonna end the video by saying this, okay? If you had to daily drive one of these every day for 1 month, which one would you pick? Whether it be you got a family, a girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, whatever it may be, you got a daily driver, you got to take them with you, whatever it is, grocery shopping, movies, going to work, you get it. If you had to pick one, which one would you pick? If it were up to me, I would probably go with the Subaru 360. Now I say that because it's got reverse, it's got the most space. Yeah, it's not the fastest. It's definitely hot inside, it's loud, but it's got reverse. It's small enough to get into a lot of spots, and I like the paint color on it. So that would be mine personally. The Pulse would be pretty cool. It's an attention grabber, obviously, everywhere it goes, but it's long, it's not easy to turn, no reverse. Going back to the beginning of this, I said it, I think, the best. They all failed in their most unique ways. They all failed for some reason, but that's what makes them unique, and I think that's why I really like them. So that's gonna do it, guys. Thanks for watching this video. That being said, this battery's dead, so I gotta go push this back to the shop, and it's like 77 degrees out, so I better get on that.